Well, hey everybody, Wes McDonald here with Michael Cozzens for another episode of Business AI Live. How are you, Michael?
It's unbelievable. Forget about Monday Night Football. It's now time to talk with Mr. McDonald and Mr. Ocean. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's great. And for those that have tuned in, we are going to have Michael Ocean in, and that's someone that we've gotten to know pretty well as we're starting to look at some of the incredible evolutions that are happening right now with business tool sets that are incorporating AI. And of course, one of the oldest professions in the world is, and get your mind out of the gutter, people out there, the oldest profession in the world is actually sales, right? And it's something that even people that don't think they're in sales, guess what? You are, right, Mr. Cozzens? Everybody is in sales.
Well, as they say, nothing happens without a sale. And I think everybody, it's important. Every company, every member in the business, whether you're in payables, receivables, collections, the warehouse, software development, you're in sales. And so when you're interacting, you have to look at things, even if you're not a salesperson, at the end of the day, it's going to be a sales strategy that's going to make that product move along.
It absolutely is. And Greg Walters says, OMG. Was that to the sales reference there, Mr. Walters? Welcome. I'm glad you're joining us here today. And it's actually good for everyone that does join in. One of the things that we love to know is where you're watching from, right? And that's the beauty of these streams is that we do get people from a global audience, especially when it comes to a topic such as artificial intelligence and business. And if you're not thinking about artificial intelligence in your business, then we've got to have a separate conversation, right? So this is one of the most important things impacting our channel, today. And Michael Cozzens from Boca Raton, Florida. Love it.
You know what Boca Raton stands for? The mouth of the rat.
Is that true?
It is.
That is an absolute riot. Oh, and Greg's joining us from Michigan. And our guest today, I'm going to bring him in, is Mr. Michael Ocean. And I'm glad that you're actually joining us from Canada as well as me. I'm usually the only Canadian on the call. So, Michael, if you could introduce yourself for our audience and let them know where you're joining us from.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wes. It's great to be here with you guys. My name is Michael Ocean. I'm from Toronto, Canada. And today, I guess we are here to talk about sales and AI. What could be more exciting than that?
Well, yeah. I think it's amazing because you don't meet too many people whose name, their personal name, is better than their company name. Michael Ocean is not. Forget about it. It's over. How many sales do you get because your name's Michael Ocean?
At least it's a good icebreaker,
That's absolutely.
It's officially the coolest last name I've ever heard. So. That's great. And in Toronto, Canada, which, by the way, a little history, I started my sales career in Toronto. And this was way back in the day at the birth of the corporate internet, right? Working for a company called PSINet. And it was wet behind the ears, junior sales rep, trying to sell the world this crazy, kooky thing called the internet, right? And do you know how many times I had business owners, right? Because we were literally, in those days, we're walking floor to floor in buildings, right? And the number of times I had people tell me, you know what, kid, I like you. I like your gumption. I like your style. But this internet thing isn't going anywhere. I've already got the yellow pages. I've got a phone. I don't need this weird thing you're calling email, right? I can already talk to people. And a web page I don't need because people use the yellow pages, right? And I think that we are on the cusp of that very same thing, right? Michael Cozzens and I were actually just prior to this call talking about some things related to business AI. And it's still shocking how many business executives are saying, well, we're not ready to, to do anything yet. Right. So I remember that feeling. And I think that we're, there today as well. Right.
100%. I think there's a lot of fear out there that people are going to be replaced. So this is one of the main aspects of, AI in some people's minds. But in reality, the whole idea of AI is to help people get rid of some unnecessary work so they can focus on more strategic tasks, and especially leaders. It's just an innovation that is going to take over everything. Just think about it. When Salesforce popped up,
sure,
nobody wanted to even look at it. We have our spreadsheet, and before that, people were using their handbook to write notes about their prospects and clients. But everybody's used to it right now.
It's so very true. And for those that are watching, you can actually check out Michael's group. You can go to sellmethispen.ai, and there's some good videos there that kind of explain, what we do. But today we don't need those videos because we have you live and in person, right? So give us a little background, if you would, Michael, on your, sales career and how it kind of led you to this AI catalyst.
Yeah, 100%. So started as a musician. I had no idea about sales. But then I sold my soul and joined the forces. So
Like all
the first attempt was a corporate named PCM. We were selling Microsoft products like Azure Office 365 to IT teams, and I actually hated sales at that point. I was like, okay, this is not going to be for me. This is horrible. And then I started a startup, and I had to take over sales. So I had to sell the early product. I had to talk to clients and investors. Then I realized even that experience, I got a lot of training. So moving forward, I started a bunch of companies, joined a few companies, and last effort was with a company named Hopin. We grew sales from being 5 people to 250 people in less than a year. So
Wow.
with that growth, I noticed a lot of challenges with coaching and training people because it's almost impossible. You don't have the bandwidth. The idea of Sell Me the Spin was born, and in simplest form is an AI coach that helps sales organizations put coaching and training on autopilot. So I just wanted to help more reps basically get trained in the right way.
Yeah, and obviously, I've been through a ton of sales training myself, right? And over the years, and I think one of the hardest things is, right, when people are telling you to watch, videos or to take a class or a course or whatever, right? Because it's one of those things where it's like, man, like that's just another, part of my day, right? I think what's really cool about this, and maybe you can talk to it a little bit, is this idea that the coaching can happen live and in person. And I think one of the things that blew me away when I was actually using your software was that once it understood my sales methodology and how that sales process was supposed to happen, right? That it reminded me, and I'm guilty of this, and Michael Cozzens, I know you are sometimes as well, right? Is let the customer talk. In other words, a note would pop up from your software telling me, maybe engage the customer, ask this question, right? And so you're getting this training live and on the fly. And I've never experienced that before, right? Except perhaps maybe the terrifying experience where you've actually got your sales manager on the phone shadowing you and sending you notes via, chat, right? That's awful. Like anyone that's been through that when you've got one of your peers actually on there. So how do you address those kind of things, right?
100%. And good old days are maybe not that good. To your point, we're on the phone and then we hear a noise. Hey, don't say that. Don't say this. And it creates a lot of distraction because you want to be focused on the conversation, obviously. So what we are trying to do here is, again, to build a solution that is judgment-free for reps. So they feel good about getting this guidance from AI because it's not a human being. It doesn't judge you, right? So if I'm talking too much, the system will give me a nudge. Like, hey, take a step back. You're talking too much or you're interrupting your client. And the idea is to fix this bad behavior right on the spot. So reps can basically build this muscle memory. So next time they avoid doing this, let's say, behavior.
Yeah, I think what I really like about it though too is it takes the fear factor out of it, right? So especially I got to think, when we get young sales reps, and Mr. Cozzens, you have managed more sales teams and reps than I could ever do. It's not my bag, right? But especially for the younger sales reps, they have that fear. Am I right? You know what I mean? Like when they're being sort of shadowed, too closely because it's so new for them, right?
Well, a couple things. I mean, if I could get into Michael Ocean's AI, I got to write the 30-second interruption and get that thing up to a minute and a half because I got things to say. No, but it's funny because we're always in sales, right? And I run sales calls as the president. Some of my people would say, well, I can't believe you're going to run hold on. I'm doing the same thing you do. I might do it at the board level. I might do it at the engineer level, but I'm still selling too. So I need to learn the same cadence and strategies. And quite frankly, to Michael Ocean's point early, people do see artificial intelligence as a concern for job adjustment or limitation. And let's be honest, some of that is going to happen. Some of that's going to happen.
Maybe
right?
talk to that, right? Because that is one of the big fears anytime we talk about a new AI tool set, right? Is that fear of, job certainty or.
But I see things like Michael Ocean, Sell Me a Pen. This is it's the birth of new opportunities. And so I don't, yes, other things that we used to do might be different. And where when we were younger in sales, they might have put us in a room. Michael Ocean wasn't even born yet, but they might have put us in a room and gave us videotapes to watch, right? And artificial intelligence, in my opinion, as we just continue to get more immersed with it, it's just basically like an adrenaline shot. It's like a carbonated drink or a coffee that gives you're still going to need Michael Ocean's charisma. Artificial intelligence cannot replace that. Sell me a pen. It's the objectivity, and salespeople, to the point earlier, they want Michael Ocean to join them or help them. And if he can do that with artificial intelligence strategies, hey man, I'm getting better, and it's right there, real time, telling me what I can do to improve.
Yeah, there every single time, right? And Greg Walters come in fascinating at one copier dealer. The manager would listen in on a call and make suggestions live. Horrendous. This is like a boxer hitting the bag. And it's true, right? That there's that stress. And I remember it very well. I had a sales manager way back in the day. I was talking with customers and I was having a bad call, and visibly I was upset. And he came over and literally, I'm not kidding you, ripped the phone right off the desk, right? The cable and all. And of course I was like, oh, what is going on here? And he laughed and said, McDonald, what are you getting so worked up about? It's just a phone, right? But that experience for me was almost traumatic. Whereas if I had something like AI that was coaching me through that, saying, try this tactic. And Michael Cozzens, you brought it up, need a minute and a half, not 30 seconds, right? And Michael Ocean, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was the capability once you upload, whatever that sales methodology is, to alter those cadences. Is that correct?
That is correct. So basically what happens is when you start your conversation, there is a setting that can be adjusted. So we talk about, let's say, interruption, or we're talking about like using the playbook in certain ways. So it's basically a reminder for you on the call more than anything else. But depending on what data you want to get out of it, so you can see how things being phrased or how questions being asked, or what kind of responses you're receiving from prospects. So this way you can adjust, let's say, your playbook or your best practices, the way that maybe your top sellers are actually selling. Because we know nobody's sticking to a playbook. They want to get creative. You have your own style. But this way you can see exactly how people phrase things during the real-time, conversations.
Yeah, I think people have to understand with playbooks, there's an important reason that you have to follow them and adhere to them. And yes, there are certain, we all think that we have the best creative, kind of, thing that's better than any playbook, right? But when I was in university, one of the things that I had to do, I actually didn't study business initially. I did English literature, psychology. And when I was studying English literature, one of the things that we come up to was poetry, right? Of course, as a young person, you're like, I'm going to write the best poem that was ever written, right? It's I'm going to make Shakespeare look like a chump. But what they made you do, one of the things that we had to do is that the first thing you're going to do is you're going to learn how to write a sonnet, right? A Shakespearean sonnet and a Spenserian sonnet, because they're different, right? And one of them involves a form called iambic pentameter, which is very restrictive. So the way that the cadences fall on the line for the number of syllables and the number of lines and what's spoken about in each of those sections of the poem, right? It was a nightmare. But the cool thing is, once we got good at that, then the professor said, okay, now unleash your creative abilities, right? In other words, know the basics, know the formula. And once you've proven you can do that, then you can start to add some of your own personality and embellishments, right? So I think this is just such a nice way to do it.
100%. Like the idea is not to, make people scripted, obviously, but you want to learn the basics. You want to your point, with repetition, at least you understand, okay, I really observed how, opening the conversation with X, Y, and Z would work. So now I just want to add my own voice, my own flair to it. So to your point, you need that first level of understanding about the basics, and through repetition, you come up with your own voice, your style.
So Michael, let me ask you a question real quick, Wes, if you don't mind.
Please.
And I don't know the answer to this question. Is do you have a strategy with this for different generational people? And the reason why I say that is because I have young people, and I say young, I'm in my 50s, and I do things I can speak to things without a lot of studying. I can speak quickly, and if you said go make a speech right now, I'm ready to go. But I know a lot of people communicate electronically, and so the way that they communicate with Sell Me the Pen AI might be different depending on what generation they're in. I know that sounds strange, but it depends a lot on the buyer too, right?
100% correct. So the main reason that we call this an end-to-end coaching is exactly that. So if you have a seasoned rep, they know how to follow the playbook. They know how to handle basic objections. They really don't need the same training as someone who's just getting ramped up, right? So we believe that reps have a choice to really decide what they want to do with the platform. That's why we rolled it out first to the end users as a PLG model. So people started using it differently. Some people really take advantage of the real-time portion. Some more seasoned people are after some other things. Like for instance, I want to check and see in terms of coaching what I could do better in terms of, let's say, applying gap. Maybe they are new to certain methodologies. Like I'm myself trying to learn gap selling right now. So you can look at it in different ways. Like they use it to update this CRM. So instead of spending a lot of time, after each call, try to put notes and make sure everything is hygienic. So you can just click up a button here, update your CRM. This is one of the use cases that more seasoned people are actually using it. So in terms of integration, if you use Salesforce or HubSpot, all this data could, automatically go and sit in the right place. So you don't have to be worried about, data hygiene anymore. Or when it comes to role play, so a portion of a platform lets you practice. And to your point, if we are dealing with seasoned, let's say a team of enterprise sellers, the way we set up these role plays are going to be more mature. It's going to be more strategic conversations. But for someone who's just starting, they can just cold call and have a simpler conversation with AI.
Yeah, I think the CRM integration is killer, right? Because I do know that that's one of the things that organizations we need are really accurate and up-to-date notes as we're kind of moving through the funnel, right? And relying on sales reps to do that all the time. I am not the most detail-oriented person in the world, right? So sometimes it takes me a long time to learn a process like making sure that I'm updating the CRM, that I'm sending my sales manager the correct notes. It seems like we're always doing things in triplicate, right? And it strikes me that this kind of integration to be able to actually have it automatically work with that to do both the summary and the CRM update, that's got to be huge for sales managers, right? I don't know, you feel, Mr. Cozzens, but to be able to get this stuff to happen automatically, it just strikes me as killer.
Well, the thing that comes to mind for me is this is an amazing Sell Me the Pen AI. It's an amazing assistant to help salespeople be better. We're all salespeople, but you know what? The other question that comes up is, what types of programs are the buyers reviewing on an AI strategy to beat this system, right? Because a lot of people don't know this on the buyer side. They go to seminars and they have strategies to tell you no.
Yes,
so
it's true.
hopefully Michael Ocean is getting the buyer's AI so his Sell Me the Pen AI can beat.
Oh, that's great. AI selling to AI.
That might happen actually in the future. Is this company named Air.ai, like they're trying to really replace reps. And maybe in the future this happens, but I still think it's a good thing, because instead of doing some, repetitive, unproductive tasks, if you can upskill yourself and even learn how to use these tools, you might be an admin at some point. Your job might actually shift to something else. So it's something that we cannot stop. It's better just to really adopt and learn as much as we can.
So, Michael, I have a question real quick. I know this is pretty cool stuff. Do you have a strategy or analytics to show board members or owners, the people that use Sell Me This Pen AI versus the ones that don't use it, and what the more productive, maybe there's a higher, it's 20% higher. And the reason why I say that is I saw a spreadsheet somebody sent me yesterday, and it showed people who didn't use AI and their success rate was X. And the people who did use AI for AI tools, their success was like 40% higher. Do you have that? I don't mean to put you on the spot. I didn't know if you.
No, we actually can provide some of these, let's say, information to leaders. So yes, how your users are adopting to this platform, like what kind of results they're getting, how much time they're saving, and not doing actually non-revenue tasks. We just started our integration with Salesforce. So right now, you can get your notes updated. But to your point, the goal is to really analyze the efficacy of, let's say, each part of this platform. So later we can say, if from, let's say, MQL to SQL, it takes this much time, we make this faster through these practices. So the main goal is to really try to understand how to calculate the amount of, let's say, effectiveness of our product in every step of the process.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it integrates with the CRM, because they have built-in, stuff in there too, right, in Salesforce to help along with that. And that's one of the things I speak to all the time. I wish they didn't call it artificial intelligence. It really drives me nuts. It should have been called augmented intelligence, right? That really what it's doing is taking the intelligence of the people that we have in our teams and helping them to reduce the time it takes to do tasks, to be more consistent, to make sure that they're applying methodologies that we know that work, right? And I hate this. When I was a young sales rep, or just as a young person, I think it doesn't matter if you're in sales or not, you always think you know better, right? I've got the thing that's this system is stupid. I'm gonna blow it out of the water. Well, most times the system is the system for a reason, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't, that we don't require change and that we don't, have the ability to modify things over time. But a lot of methodologies, again, knowing those fundamentals, getting good at those fundamentals, because that's what saves time, right? When we have systems in place. And that's one of the things I love about augmenting, a process like this, because I think that for sales teams, it can be more consistent and more reviewable, right?
Yeah. And you know what, to that point, Michael Ocean, what is the perfect customer? Do you have like the graph outline? This is a perfect where Sell Me This Pen AI is a perfect fit. And then on the secondary part of that question, do you have a customer that's just not a good fit? This we wouldn't work well in this environment.
That's a good question. So to answer your first question, a perfect customer for us is a client who has at least 10 sellers. So we're looking at least 10 people, because that's where giving this individual coaching gets really tricky. The bandwidth is more limited. You don't have an enablement, let's say, seat in your sales organization yet, or companies that are growing actually. So you said, at least 30-40% of headcount growth in sales during the past 6 months. Either they, raised some fund, had some funding, or they're just growing faster, a little bit faster than usual compared to more, let's say, corporate companies. And what we see is when they use the tool for ramping reps. So if you're onboarding reps, or if you just had a training and brought some methodologies that you're trying to basically push to reps so they can learn and they can apply, that would be the best case scenario when we pick these clients.
It's kind of funny that that answer actually reminds me of managed print. And the reason I say that, I know, Michael Ocean, you're not as familiar with managed print, but complexity, when there's complexity, if people have more than a certain number of printers or copiers, that's when managed print really comes into play, right? If you've only got one printer, we can't really help you. All you're doing is picking up your toner at Staples or whatever, right? But once you have 100 printers, and that's basically kind of a small area for a managed print deal, to 1,000 printers and 150 copiers, now we have something to talk about. So I see that complexity with sales teams, as well, right?
That is 100% true. So the more sellers you got, the more complicated the coaching becomes.
And the harder it is to manage, right?
100%.
And we've got one here from Greg Walters with ChatGPT's new speech capabilities. And holy crap, I was playing around with this over the last few days.
Yeah.
It is crazy. You can literally leave it on your desk, and when you're not talking, it just waits for you to talk. So it's not like you have to press a button and wait. You literally leave it on. And then as you're, let's say I'm browsing the web and I'm talking to, Michael Ocean, I can then say out loud, hey, tell me more about Michael Ocean and SMTP. And it's listening the whole time, and then it'll respond in voice. It is just crazy, right? And that does remind me of one thing, because I saw you do a video on this, Michael. Maybe you can speak to this, right? But actually selling to an AI that actually speaks to you. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. So as I mentioned, you can role play with AI, you can cold call AI, or you can have a discovery conversation. So, we build 20 plus characters right now with different personalities. Some of them are tough. You just call them and they're like, hey, I don't have time. Let's hang up. Some others are a little bit more open to having a conversation. So the idea is to really get a hands-on experience before doing these calls. Or if you struggle with certain, part of the conversation, like if I'm struggling with, let's say, closing the deal rather than just building a rapport with the client, this way I can get used to it by practicing it with AI, because nobody's watching. I can go through it as many times as I want. And that's the idea.
Yeah, I really like it that you have different personas and different levels, that you can compete with, right? And for everyone, check out the video. I'll make sure to put it in the show notes post show to be able to check that out.
This is a good thing to know, because I can tell you right now, and all the sales training that I've done in the last 30-something years, and I love it. I love that heckler in the crowd that knows more than me, and they're better than me, and they can arm wrestle me faster and all that stuff. You have to give them some questions, because when you do role play and they want to show the whole group how they have the answers, no matter if you're Michael Ocean or whomever you would be, they're not giving you the appointment during that role play, because they're going to keep saying no to everything. But it is good, though, because, for salespeople that are trying to get better, Michael did that video. It was awesome, where he was on with the AI and he was trying to set an appointment, and he said, I only need 30 seconds. And I think Michael took, with the artificial, I think he took 2.5 minutes or whatever, which basically is in conjunction. That really is a sales call.
Right.
I don't know how many times any of us, it could be me yesterday, where I spoke with somebody in the first 30 seconds. Oh yeah, we don't need anything, thanks. And then if they like the conversation, or there was enough content interest, then the thing goes on for 5 or 10. You're actually walking out of the building. If you're Michael Ocean, the guy's running in the back of your head because he wants to keep talking.
Yeah.
So this is to me, it's amazing. Like going back to the right. So if I understand, Michael Ocean, you're saying that you're a good fit for every customer. For anybody in the sales strategy, you're saying anybody that wants to drive AI coaching, they would engage you, and it would be a good fit. You could help increase their business 10, 15%, and you could show graphs and charts of how that's being done.
Potentially, yes. And to your point, because we are trying to build foundational skills for reps. So role playing, being reminded of your playbook. This could happen anywhere. So you can be a 5, sales organization, or you could be a 500 headcount sales organization. You still, need this basics. But at the same time, we are trying to be focused on our own ICP. So we don't necessarily look at everyone as our customers. Just imagine if a company is, an enterprise level organization with many, many users, it comes with some expectations in terms of integrations or, security. So we're trying not to go in that direction. But to your point, potentially, yes, we can serve.
But one of the things, Michael Ocean, that I would want to know, and not to belabor the point, when I engage you into my sales group, I'm going to have probably 30 to 50% of the sales group that's going to love everything about this.
Sure.
They're gonna embrace this. Then there's going to be 20% that don't really know. I'm not sure, and I haven't been doing this for the last 10 years or whatever. And then there's 20%, which is probably the highest performers. They're going to tell me they're not using this at all. It's a waste of time. It slows down the process or whatever. Therefore, if I'm engaging you, I would want these stats so that I can get back. Because one of the things I've always found is even when I bring in some very proven resources, I always get those that just, they don't want to do it. They're not going to do it,
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And hey, listen, in respect for everyone's time, we are at the 10:30 mark, and I cannot thank you enough, Michael Ocean, for joining us today. And for anyone that obviously wants to reach out to you, they can find you on LinkedIn, through email.
And before you go, West, how much are you going to increase my sales, Michael Ocean?
100%.
Right.
Beautiful.
Tired.
You had me at hello, Miguel.
Well, that's awesome. You can check them out at sellmethispen.ai, which is right here. And of course, if you want to reach out to Michael Cozzens and myself, you can find Michael at Cuzz Group here. Absolutely one of the most important business leaders in our channel today. So if you haven't chatted with Michael, you need to do it today. And of course, you can find me at West McDonald.
And as we wrap up this meeting, Michael, if I buy your company, I'm just telling you, before this happens, I'm not giving anything away for free, babe.
Absolutely.
Including the AI assessment.
Let us at least work for you after.
Take care, gentlemen. You guys are the best. We'll do it again, okay?
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All the best.
Take care. Bye.
There you go.